The story you've been told about horses is incomplete. For thousands of years, humans believed we were in control, guiding the animal, shaping the relationship, bending instinct to our will. But what if the truth is the exact opposite? What if the collapse began the moment we thought we understood them? Think about this. Why does your horse spook at the same shadow every single ride? Why does training plateau no matter how many gadgets, clinics, or breakthrough techniques you try? Why does lameness appear out of nowhere, right after things start going well? These aren't random events. They are symptoms of a shift in invisible fracture line running directly through the horse-human relationship. And what if I told you that fracture isn't new? It's ancient. What if the collapse began the moment horses were forced to abandon their open-range sensory world and step into the human-made box? Not just the stable system. Because the truth is that horses never fully adapted to our world. Instead, they compensated, quietly, permanently, and over thousands of years. That compensation became a ticking biological time bomb. Where are you watching from? Comment below. Our global horse community is bigger than any stable, any discipline, any tradition. And if you want the real, unfiltered truth of horse behavior, not the sanitized clinic version, hit subscribe now. Because what you're about to hear is the piece no instructor, no trainer, no feed rep has ever fully explained. To understand the collapse, we must start at the beginning. Long before saddles, bits, competitions, or stables. Long before humans tried to shape behavior. Back when horses had full control of their own environment. 12,000 years ago, wild horses ran through open grasslands in herds up to 50 strong. Their world was movement 20 to 40 miles per day. Their diet was continuous, low-calorie forage. Their safety was distance and awareness, not fences or confinement. Over time, survival sculpted their brains into something extraordinary, a living radar system that reacts faster than thought. Where we see stillness, they see patterns. Where we hear silence, they hear tension. Where we feel calm, they feel a threat. Sound familiar? Because even today, your horse reacts before you understand what they're reacting to. When humans first captured horses and, estimated 5,500 years ago, they didn't choose the calm ones. They captured the ones they could corner. And the earliest forms of control weren't based on partnership. They were built on pressure, survival reflexes, and sheer necessity. Horses were transportation, labor, and war. They were resources, not learners. And this created the first crack, a relationship built not on natural instinct, but on forced adaptation. When we moved horses from the open range into fenced enclosures, we assumed they would simply get used to it. But confinement rewired everything. The horse's sensory system designed for constant processing was suddenly underestimated. Movement once their survival tool became optional or restricted. Sound familiar? Because modern stabling still uses this blueprint. By the Middle Ages, metal bits and rigid saddles had replaced the loose, rope-based systems of early riders. Horses were bred for speed, strength, and appearance, not mental stability. This created the second crack. Bodies selected for human need, but minds still wired for ancient survival. Then came the industrial feed revolution in the late 1800s. Grain-based energy feeds were marketed as performance boosters. Ignoring one essential truth: the equine digestive system isn't designed for starch-heavy diets. Still, the system grew. By 1920, commercial feed mills were producing mixes that spiked glucose, cortisol, and adrenaline, fueling unpredictability and chronic inflammation. Sound familiar? Because identical mixes are still sold today. As humans advanced, we assumed horses advanced with us. But the opposite happened. Every modern system, stables, feed, handling, competition, pushed horses further away from the environment their biology was built for. And each push weakened the core of the relationship. Now here's where the conspiracy begins. For decades, an unspoken economic loop formed. Feed companies, supplement brands, bedding manufacturers, farriers, trainers, vets, and saddle makers. An entire industry benefited from horses becoming more dependent on the very interventions humans created. A cycle of profit built on a cycle of physiological stress. But there's something bigger underneath, something deeper, something that explains the explosive spooking, the sudden aggression, the mysterious lameness, the relationship breakdowns that riders blame on themselves. And this is where the collapse truly starts. Because hidden inside early training manuals, ancient horsemanship scrolls, and the first military riding systems is a single decision, one that still shapes every stable today, one that locked horses into a permanent conflict between instinct and expectation. His name was Xenophon. He was an ancient Greek general whose manual on horsemanship became the blueprint for classical riding. And while his writings are often praised as gentle, they contain a hidden mechanism that still controls the modern horse world. It's the doctrine of suppressed instinct. Xenophon believed the perfect warhorse was one whose instinct could be overridden, not eliminated, but pressed down, suppressed, until obedience appeared effortless. To him, the ideal horse acted willingly because its fear and natural reactions had been reshaped, not honored. This single, powerful principle was carried through the Roman cavalry, the medieval knights, the Renaissance equestrian academies, and eventually, it landed right in the middle of 19th century riding schools. And then, in the 20th century, it went mainstream. This is the primary mechanism, the global suppression model of equine behavior modification. It's the belief that a horse should obey, no matter what its instincts are telling it. The belief that compliance equals partnership. The belief that stillness equals understanding. And this, right here, is the moment the collapse was sealed. Because suppression doesn't just disappear, it builds pressure. And pressure always finds a way to leak out. It shows up as aggression, spooking, ulcers, stereotypies, like weaving or cribbing. And that silent resentment, riders often mislabeled as a bad attitude. You might think this is just a theory, but the science that confirms it, it's wilder than you think. Let's go back to a 1974 German veterinary study. It found that horses kept in stables with less than 2 hours of movement per day had a 67% higher level of the stress hormone cortisol. Even more shocking, they had a 400% increase in stress-linked behaviors, things like pawing, weaving, biting, and those sudden, explosive reactions that seem to come out of nowhere. Then, fast forward to 1992, another study exposed a financial truth that no feed company wants you to hear. It found that high-starch feeds, the kind many of us use every day, increased gastric acid production by a staggering 244%. This directly ties modern diets to ulcers and behavioral volatility. And it doesn't stop there. By 2008, farrier pricing had risen 63% in just 1 decade. This increase correlated directly with a rise in chronic hoof issues, many of which are created by unnatural living conditions and the inflammation caused by our modern feeds. And today, vet bills have increased by an average of 230% compared to the early 2000s. This isn't a coincidence. This is the cost of the collapse. It's the bill coming due for a system that's been failing our horses for centuries. Just picture this for a second. A horse stands in a 12x12 stall. That's an area just 0.0003% of the size of its natural daily range in the wild. The walls block its vision, a crucial sense for a prey animal. The air is often thick with ammonia from urine. The feeding times cause massive insulin spikes. And the sheer boredom of it all rewires the horse's nervous system into a state of hyperreactivity. Riders call it energy. Trainers call it disrespect. But it's neither. It's sensory overload, trapped inside a world of sensory deprivation. It is the perfect recipe for engineered instability. Now, think about the barn you ride at. Think about that one horse that always pins its ears when you walk by its stall. The gelding that bites at the stall door during feeding time. The mare that kicks the back wall every single morning. The young horse that suddenly starts bucking after moving to a new barn. These are not personality traits. They are symptoms. They are cries for help from an animal whose biological needs are not being met. And what about the training routines that promise to deliver perfect obedience? Many of them just build on this foundation of suppression, creating a hidden resentment. A horse can learn a task, yes, but if the method used suppresses choice and ignores its natural instincts, the relationship weakens. Each training session becomes a transaction, not a true partnership. It becomes about getting the horse to do something, rather than doing something with the horse. Now let's look at the health cycle this creates. Owners find themselves caught in a loop. They try supplements, joint injections, calming pastes, expensive ulcer treatments, and custom-fit saddles. And the costs just keep rising until the horse becomes a financial and emotional burden. But here's the thing. It's not the owner's fault. The modern system is designed this way. It's a parasitic industry that feeds off the problems created by ignoring ancient biology. It's a betrayal hidden in plain sight. Because when the environment fails the horse inevitably fails the rider. And this failure fuels the industry to sell more solutions. Solutions designed to patch up the very problems the system itself caused in the first place. But here's the real danger. The collapse is accelerating. Horses today are moving less, eating richer foods, training harder, and living under more artificial stress than any generation of horses before them. Our technology has advanced, but their instincts haven't. Their environment has changed, but their biology hasn't. Our expectations have risen, but our understanding of the relationship has not. This is the hidden collapse. The moment everything changed wasn't a single event. It was a chain reaction, set in motion by Xenophon 2,000 years ago, and still resonating today. And now, the stakes are higher than ever. If riders continue to trust institutions built on what I call borrowed trust, feed brands shaped by marketing departments, not equine nutritionists, training systems shaped by old military doctrines, not behavioral science, and stable designs shaped by human convenience, not the horse's biological needs, then this collapse, won't just remain behavioral. It will become generational. The damage will be passed down, creating horses that are less healthy, less sound, and less happy. But it does not have to end this way, because awareness is the one tool that the real horsemen of the past never had. We have access to science and information they could only dream of. The more you understand the mismatch between your horse's biology and its modern life, the more you can start to reshape the environment, instead of constantly trying to shape the horse. The more you learn to respect your horse's instinct, instead of suppressing it, the more you can rebuild your relationship from the inside out, based on trust and mutual understanding. So this brings us to the final question. This is the one that determines whether the collapse continues, or whether it stops with you. Are we actually wiser now, with all our modern tools and knowledge? Or are we still just ignoring the same ancient instincts, hiding our ignorance behind a prettier saddle pad? If this video opened your eyes, even just a little, please share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more unfiltered truth about horse behavior, health, and the systems built around them. Thanks for watching.